Brothers, look at what they took from you. Now, before I show you this image, this is going to inevitably trigger a bunch of sweaty, gross, degenerate, perpetually online retards. And they're not really going to understand what I'm saying because they don't have the cognitive faculties to really piece this together. These are people that live in their emotions. They like to virtue signal. These people have never actually touched or seen a woman in real life, and yet that's the accusation they like to make on other people. But look at what they took from you. Now, obviously, this woman is very well endowed and she's very attractive. My point in showing you this, my point in doing this video, is to make a fucking point. A bunch of loathsome, pathetic human pustules who exist on the internet will come before you and they'll tell you, you're not allowed to have this. You're not allowed to want this. You're not allowed to think about this. An attractive woman with large assets? No, you can't. What you have to accept is this grotesquification of women. That's really what I call it. When you have these fat, ugly feminists who get into these positions at these gaming companies and they make changes based on their own inferiority and insecurity. And then when gamers say, nah, doesn't look cool, I don't really like it, I don't like the aesthetic, they end up not buying the game, and then everyone who's part of this cult blames the people not buying the game, the people criticizing, oh, I said I didn't want to buy this game, so then the problem is me, you're just a misogynist. The reality is that guys like looking at attractive girls. Girls like looking at attractive girls. I know, crazy, right? Girls like cosplaying attractive girls. Nobody wants to be the frumpy, ugly, quote-unquote, realistic woman. They just don't. That is a cope. It is a lie from more inferior minds that can't wrap their head around the fact that nobody wants to look like them. Nobody wants to be a 400-pound lesbian with their hair dyed blue and piercings in their face so they look like a fucking warthog that got hit with a nail gun. What people want, if you're going to go with a female main character, they want a girl like this that is visually beautiful, attractive, alluring. They want a girl that actually looks like she could be somebody that the world would actually pay attention to and be interested in. Instead, what do these people do? They always, always, always advocate for women being uglier. No, there's nothing wrong with the women being uglier. No, you're just a misogynist. No, you're just a bigot. And the reality is that in the end, people choose not to buy the game. Or maybe say, well, you know what, I'll buy it, but down the road. And these companies end up losing money. And no amount of cope in the world compensates for that. So do you know what happens? All of these so-called empathetic people on the left, they end up costing the jobs of people who largely agree with them. Because you're not making a product that people actually want. You're making a product for yourselves. And then, when the culture turns and things change, because, well, Trump is now president, and the studios are losing money hand over fist, and studios are closing. Those that are still around have to downsize, changes have to be made. People like this are fired and removed, and the ones that remain are trying to like double down, or in some cases trying to go under the radar. It's a mess. And all the while, you damage the company that you work for, the reputation that company has, and the ultimate product. So people tend not to buy your stuff, and they want you to be fired, and they root against you, and that's the reality. So people talk about then rooting for, first of all, modders. They root for modders because when Ghost of Yotei comes out, there are going to be plenty of modders that put a male character in the lead role. They just completely change the voice acting. Like, if it's big enough, if it's good enough, people will make changes. The changes that gamers actually want. And you know what? The mods, in some cases, do way better than the initial perception that these people put forward. And the difference is the modders do it for free in a lot of cases, but these people are getting a paycheck to actually make the game worse. And that's my case here. I don't care how triggered you are by what I'm saying. I genuinely mean that. I don't give a shit. I've seen what makes you cheer, so what makes you boo is fucking irrelevant. But what I'm saying here is you may look at this and you may say, okay, that's lewd, untoward, wrong, bad. You could pull out your Rolodex of, thesaurus insults, and you could try to come after me. But the reality is, this is what people want. Maybe too much cleavage, maybe a little bit, but this is more or less what people want. An attractive woman. She is very attractive. Now, I wouldn't say that this is pornographic or even grotesque. I would just say that she has a large rack, and maybe as being part of like a Kunoichi clan, maybe that's how she uses her assets. We've seen that in other works of fiction, that Kunoichi use, their wiles to, distract their opponent. I think this looks great. I do. And in fact, I would probably suspend my rule on not playing games that have a female character in feudal Japan to play this game. Because it just looks more interesting. It does. Isn't it amazing the power of aesthetics? And some people will cynically say, well, that's gooner bait. It's just gooning. But no. You don't go to a museum and look at a beautiful piece of art and say, well, I just want to goon to that. That is a cope. It is a mechanism by which these putrid, pathetic, low IQ, malformed homunculus, they use that in order to cope. They don't have an argument. They don't have a rebuttal. So they come up with this optically poor, weak, pathetic cop-out. This ejector switch. They just basically say, all right, I don't have anything. Nope, I'm ejecting. I'm pulling the ripcord, getting out of the argument. I'm going to call you a misogynist. I'm going to call you a gooner. It is the most low IQ and absolutely worthless form of commentary, because people like me, if you know anything about me, I'm not a fucking gooner. That's your inferiority, your issues, and you not being able to cope with reality that nobody wants the ugly characters that you are simping for. Nobody wants the gender confused, unattractive, ambiguous, androgynous characters that you're putting in there. They want to play as a knight who is a badass masculine man. They want to play as a masculine man. And maybe that's a little bit too real for you. Maybe that's a little bit too much for you. But it's true. It's absolutely true. I will show you. You know what? Right now, I don't know if this will get my video claimed. I don't care. I will show you what guys want. Like in a medieval setting. When I talk about I want to play as a man in a medieval setting, I'm not just talking about any man. Oh, I just want to play as Joe Schmo, the guy who, the guy who's the local farmer. No. This is what I want. This is what guys want. This is what gamers want. We don't need to watch the whole thing. I trust I've made my point. Now, you can grapple with that in any way that you want. You can try to bargain, you can try to lie, you can try to cope, you can try to insult me, but the reality is that my opinion is shared by the vast fucking majority of people. And also, when it comes to women, we don't want to look at any fat, unattractive hogs. Now, those of you who can be fucking honest will acknowledge that this is true. This is just observably true. Men and women want to look at women who are attractive. Men and women want to play as a male character like Geralt, who is strong, badass, and attractive. If Geralt had half his head shaved and was some twink androgynous freak, nobody would want to play as him. That is what I'm telling you. And by the way, no, that does not mean that you can take all of the masculine characteristics and attributes and then put them into a woman. No, that's not how that works. That completely falls apart because men and women are different and human beings understand that they're different, and the only people that don't understand that are people that are lying to themselves and others. You understand the difference between a man and a woman. You understand what their role in society is. You understand that men can't be women and women can't be men. You want a knight to be a masculine man. You want a damsel to be an attractive woman. Doesn't mean that the woman can't be smart. You have Legend of Zelda, but you don't want a quest where you're playing as Zelda in the place of Link. Nintendo did that, and it was a failure. Which was, what was it called? Triforce of Wisdom or whatever the fuck they came out with. That game that was supposed to be like some kind of continuation of A Link to the Past. That sort of style. Triforce, what do they call that? I don't even remember the name. It's not even worth remembering. It's a game where you play as Zelda. Of course nobody wants it. People want to play as Link. People say that they want to play as Zelda, but they don't really want to. And that's something that Nintendo is probably aware of now. That people in the West don't even know what they want. They say they want one thing, but they want the other. And this is what they want. They want attractive women. They want women that are beautiful. They don't want women that are fucking hogs, ugly, hideous, gross looking. And you know who agrees with me? Everyone. Literally everyone agrees with me. The only people that don't are the people that are lying for virtue points. Nobody wants to play as a woman that looks like this. No one. Anyway, brothers, it was time for me to make this video and to be direct and honest because it seems that nobody else will. So I will do it. Brothers, thank you for watching. See you next time.